Let's kick off with the breaking news. The labour union Cosatu wanting to halt the deal between MTN and Bharti. Now, we saw how they came out with the Vodacom deal and unsuccessfully tried to prevent that deal going through with Vodacom's sale to Vodafone. So would this mean anything for trade of the share next week?
It's obviously going to have a bit of an impact on the stock price on Monday, but I mean, at least there's a weekend in between now and first trade on Monday. So we'll see some news this weekend as to why they're trying to block the deal. But surprise, there. We always knew some fly in the ointment was going to come, and now it's come in the form of Cosatu up in arms. So don't want to speculate as to why they're trying to block the deal, but we'll have to wait and see. But definitely going to have an impact on Monday, yes.
I remember speaking to Patrick Craven from Cosatu a few months ago, and he was indicating that if they were going to try and prevent the deal, it would be on the basis that South Africa's losing a controlling stake in one of its biggest companies. So they do have a certain point here. Would you not agree?
Yeah, to a certain extent. Obviously, I think it's never a bad thing, though, on the other hand, to have a good amount of direct foreign investment in the form that Bharti is going to be investing directly in MTN. So, to lose a big corporate asset like MTN, we're not really losing it, but a big stake is concerning. But the benefits of the foreign investment that we'll gain from this and the synergies of the merger between Bharti and MTN, I think will far outweigh the fact that we're losing a big stake in MTN.
Now let's talk about prices, because I've been speaking to a few asset managers about the prices they would want for the deal, and they say well north of 170 Rand, and the deal as it stands at the moment is currently sitting below that. What is your take on this? Do you hold MTN shares?
Well, look, we don't, firstly, we're not investors, and we don't hold any funds or anything like that. But from a fundamental point of view, a lot of people are trying to squeeze for that price. Of course you are. You'll want as high a price as you can get. I think fair value should stand more or less about 150 to 155, 160 tops. I think they'll be very hard pressed to push Bharti to pay 180 for the share. So I'll be surprised if they get anything above 155, 160, absolutely max.
But I suppose it's human nature to always want more.
Exactly, agreed, yeah.
Now let's move on to other stocks this week. We've had retailers rallying today, food and clothing retailers all up. Shoprite and Pick n Pay sitting up 2.6%, Pick n Pay, Shoprite up 3.3%. What is the news surrounding these stocks?
Well, firstly, for Sheeny in the retail side of things, they came out with being upgraded from Morgan Stanley from equal weight to overweight. So obviously it's having a knock-on effect through the whole retail sector. For Sheeny's price has been upgraded to 75 Rand. And I think just a view that we've broken some technical levels there on that as well. Fundamentally, it's looking good. People stop shopping again. So.
And the MPC decision next week, do you think some investors are pricing in a basis point of repo rate cut next week?
I think you'll always get speculators ahead of the MPC decision as to a cut or a hike. As far as we're concerned, I think they're going to keep rates on hold, but definitely see price action, assuming that we'll get some form of movement in interest rates. Yeah.
Now the rand is slightly softer today, but overall it's really performed well over the last year, really. And I was speaking to Sasol CEO earlier in the week at their annual results. He said that if you take a point of 8 Rand to the dollar and a $70 price of Brent crude, a 10-cent change in the rand-dollar exchange rate means that their operating profit is affected by 770 million Rand. So this is quite a knock. Do you think, has this been having any play on Sasol shares?
Definitely, without a doubt. I mean, you can see yesterday, for argument's sake, when the resource sector was having a decent rally, Sasol wasn't performing that well. And as soon as the rand showed some form of weakness, the stock price would increase a little bit. For argument's sake, if you look at the price of Brent in dollar terms, what it's done this year, it's done about 70% from the lows. In rand terms, that's 40%. Now, the effects that it'll have on Sasol, as you've mentioned, is quite drastic. So without a doubt, share price has a massive effect caused by the rand, yeah.
So Sasol's share now sitting at around 300 Rand 10 cents, slightly down there. What are the trading ranges for the stock?
Well, there was quite a decent trading range from 290 to 310 Rand. Early days now, but it seems to be forming a bit of a base by about 300 Rand. Some support forming there in the short term. So, I think you can trade a range, very, very narrow, however it may be, but between 300 and 310 looks to be quite decent at this point in time.
Now, because construction stocks have been outperforming other sectors over the last month or so. Avenge, hit a 8-month high, I think it was, around
Correct,
47 Rand yesterday. At the end of July, seeing it around 37 Rand. What position are you taking on the likes of Murray's and Group 5 and Avenge?
Well, we really did like construction stocks before they started this aggressive run beginning of last week. We did, favour being long of them rather than short, of course.
So you were lucky, you made some money.
A bit of work, yeah. So, look, I mean, any decent pullback now is still buyable on these construction stocks, because now they have broken out of some trend channels, some decent trading ranges, and even get to the low band of those ranges again. I definitely say that traders and investors alike can be picking up a few of those stocks.
Now, we did touch on the MPC meeting next week. Do you have a house view on whether we're going to see a cut or not? What are your expectations?
Our general consensus is for them to keep rates on hold. I don't see any reason for them to cut right now. They have been quite aggressive throughout the whole year. It will take a decent amount of time before the feeling of these interest rates is felt into the economy. So, we'll be very surprised if they do cut.
It is a mixed bag of opinions, though. We've got Nedbank expecting a 50 basis point cut, and we saw that Reuters story, and it was kind of a half-half expecting a cut or not. Now, given this uncertainty, what position would you be taking on bank stocks?
Well, firstly, I mean, if you take a look at the bank stocks from a technical point of view, obviously we're running into quite a fair amount of resistance now. The likes of Standard Bank, First Rand, ABSA, all of them at very big levels. So you have to take a view that if this resistance is a decent selling level. Obviously, if the MPC cuts rates, it's going to cause a knee-jerk reaction, and these stocks should break above these resistance level, and then you can reverse and go long. So I would be cautiously short, because obviously there are some speculators at the moment pricing in this cut. That's why we've seen a decent run in these financial stocks over the past week or so.
Now, talking about banks, First Rand came out with their results earlier in the week. Did you have a chance to look at them?
Yeah, I just glanced through them. It pretty much in line with the expectations and the rest of the sector as well. I think they were down about 30% on headline earnings per share. No major surprises there. Obviously, everyone knows Rand Merchant Bank has been a problem child within First National Bank at the moment. So, but the share price has, as you can see by the share action, it didn't react too negatively from it. It bounced quite nicely along with the rest of financial stocks.
Now, I heard an interview with Stephen Kosov, and he said despite the fact that Rand Merchant Bank has really taken a hit, the investment banking division has now really started to pick up, and he's quite bullish on this part of the company. So would you be buying RMB shares on the back of comments like this?
Well, look, they're coming off of an extremely low base. Most of the investment banking stocks now, only two of them really, Rand Merchant Bank and Investex. So, I think if we're going to see a decent turnaround, investment banking is a very cyclical industry. So there could be some decent growth in there for the longer term. It'll be a bit lagging as compared to your more normal type of banks like Standard Bank and ABSA. So a bit more high risk, but maybe worth a bit of a speculative buy. Yeah.
Moving abroad, it's quadruple witching in the US today. Do you think this is going to have any effect on the market? Definitely.
Always a very volatile day. High volumes trade. People closing positions. People getting out of their longs, out of their shorts, etc., rolling over their positions. So it will definitely have a bit of impact on markets. Yeah.
Your expectations for next week for trade on the JSE?
Well, look, we did quite nicely to the upside this week. Personally, I'd hope to see a bit of weakness next week, only because I'd like to see a decent buying opportunity come to the fore. So, seeing some red on the board would not surprise me, but in saying that, not trying to pick a top at all by any stretch of the imagination. So it's difficult to call now in this extreme short term. But whatever your trading position is, you just got to tread the water very lightly. Don't take any extreme positions. Keep your stop losses.
The usual trading strategy.
Exactly. Yeah.